My title this morning is If Not Now, When? And of course, I'm going to talk about time. I'm going to talk about time and how we use it and sometimes how we misuse it. But before I get into the nitty-gritty of this, I found something when I was preparing this talk. When I was in junior high school, I began to write poetry. And I wrote a short little thing called The Mouse Whose Name is Time. And I'm going to share it with you now. The mouse whose name is Time is out of sound and sight. He nibbles at the day. He nibbles at the night. He nibbles at the summer till all of it is gone. He nibbles at the seashore. He nibbles at the dawn. Yet no man not a seer, nor woman not a sibyl, can ever hear or see him nibble. And whence or how he comes, or how or where he goes, nobody dead remembers, and nobody living knows.
That's cute.
Well, we've all heard it, time waits for no man. Does that mean that time is a woman? Thought I had. Time is a human construct, of course. We have time because we have space, and the two things are intricately related. And so we have to have a way to measure all of that, and time is one of those measures. But it's a perception. And here's an illustration. One day the tower received a call from an aircraft asking, "What time is it?" The tower responded, "Who's calling?" The aircraft replied, "What difference does it make?" The tower replied, "It makes a lot of difference. If it's an American Airlines, it's 3 o'clock. If it's an Air Force plane, it's 1,500 hours. If it's a Navy aircraft, it's 6 bells. If it's an Army aircraft, the big hand's on the 12 and the little hand's on the 3. If it's a Marine Corps aircraft, it's Thursday afternoon and 120 minutes to happy hour." So it's all how we look at it. But the question for us is, where do we live? Where do we live in time? Some of us, not in this room I'm sure, but some of us may live in the past. I know I did this myself for a very long time. For many years I carried a lot of burdens from my past, as most of you know. And I had a lot of them. What a burden. And it reminds me of a sign I saw when I was in St. Augustine one day. I saw this sign, "I'm lost. I've gone out to look for myself. If I should return before I get back, please ask me to wait." I was really confused back then. My life was a definite example of same song, different verse, a little louder, a little worse for a long time. And I lived in the past for many years before I found something different, which wasn't any better, and we'll get to that later. Living in the past can take several shapes. You can be in the garden of the unforgiven. That's a repertoire of past hurts and grievances that we don't let go of. We relive them as either a repeated memory with all of our attendant emotions, or we project them into our lives now, which means a rerun of events, of course, and the same script with perhaps minor changes or a new cast. Or we could have the woe is me headstone or the shrine of it only. If only. If only I had a better childhood. If only I weren't a man or a woman. If only I were younger. If only I married someone or someone else. If only I had not gotten married. If only I were thinner, richer, more educated. You can fill in the blanks. If only. What we keep in place when we invest ourselves so totally in the past is often blame, shame, or guilt. It's very destructive stuff that we do when we do that. The time is now. If not now, when? The other ailment we may have is that we may live in the future. And I've done this too. Believe me, I've done this. I found that a better alternative to living in the past, but not much better. my own error came in the waiting game. When this happens, or when I have this, or even less when my husband, family member or boss does this, then I'll do something, or I'll be something, you know. And fear is the ultimate enemy about the future. Afraid of what might happen, afraid of how others may react, afraid what they might think, afraid what will happen again. And if you're afraid of that, usually it does. I finally got to this point where I made a vow to myself. No longer will I hide from, wait for, or run from life. Now is the moment to love, live, and enjoy. If not now, when? The truth is, and this is a fundamental truth to be sure, is that we all have only this moment in which we can act or feel. The only moment is right now. This is all we can do. And we can only operate in the now. We can't operate in the past. The past is a pattern of something in our memory. The future is an idea yet to come, and none of that is real. It's only ideas in our mind. So we only have the now. In Winning Through Enlightenment, the author Ron Smotherman says this: all of the confusion clears up when we realize there's only one time, and that time is now. If you are willing to experience the truth that is right now, your problems about the past and future will clear up. Why? Because there is no past or future. There is only right now. If you're stuck in what you call the past, you are stuck right now. If you spend your time daydreaming about the future, you do that process right now. You can't even go to these places called the past and the future. They are not real. So if you think you are sometimes troubled by past events, you aren't. You're troubled by a linear memory trace that your mind continues to reactivate in the present. Needless to say, the future is not. Just not. Whatever you will ever bring into your being, into life, you will bring into being in the present, or not at all. Now is it. Nothing else counts. Nothing else can. The truth is that we can't do anything about the past other than change our attitude toward it. That we can do. And I've done that in my life too, and it's so free to do that. So free. So the past and the future are ideas in our minds, and we can only choose how and what we think about our past and our future. That's it. How we think about it, how we view it, and not to dwell on it, but just to live in the now. The time is now. If not now, when? Howard Beecher said this: no matter what looms ahead, if you can eat today, enjoy the sunlight today, mix good cheer with friends today, enjoy it and bless God for it. Do not look back on a happiness or dream of it in the future. You can only be sure of it today. Do not let yourself be cheated out of it. Now is the time. If not now, when? And in the words of Louise Hay, the point of power is in the present moment. It really is now. This simply means that the only moment in which you can have a thought, make a decision, take an action is in the present moment. We cannot act or think or truly exist in the past or the future, although we may let our emotions get stuck there. I'm of a belief that no information really has any value to us unless we can apply it somehow, use it in some way. So first of all, how can this be done? How can we live in the present? In my ministry in Colombia, people would ask me that. I would give a talk and they would come to me afterwards and go, but how do I do that? How do I build faith? How do I do this? How do I do that? So this is your homework. Something you can take with you and some things you can begin to do now. We can slow down. We can be mindful of this moment. We can be fully present in this moment. We can, not to crawl, not to our detriment to slow down, but what needs to by slowing down is to focus more clearly on each moment, to be more fully present in it. We can also allow spaces in our lives, quiet times, time for meditation and contemplation, time for old-fashioned conversation and fellowship with others, time for laughter, lightheartedness, and fun. That's balance. And we can make a commitment to be mindful in every moment and practice mindfulness. There are so many ways to do this. Of course, daily meditation is great. And there are also very many simple things that can be done to enhance our mindfulness. As for whether we can benefit and be liberated by making the most of each moment and being fully present in it, I believe strongly that it is the only way that being fully present in every moment is to make the most of every moment. And we can make the most by just sitting quietly and looking within. It's not what we do in the moment, it's how we do the moments. What does it mean to be liberated and free? Muriel and John James, who wrote a book, A Passion for Life, said this. They wrote this. To be free is to have the opportunity to choose. Psychologist Rollo May puts it more eloquently in explaining that freedom is the capacity to pause between stimulus and response, and in that pause, to choose the one response toward which we want to throw our weight. With each act, we choose one possibility over another. And that's power, when we really begin to choose our reactions to things and choose the highest way to react, and not react at gut level or from that ego place, you know. Some of these choices may be relatively unimportant, such as choosing to go to a movie instead of staying home to watch TV, or choosing to eat one meal or instead of another, or wear one type of clothing instead of another. These kind of choices have little to do with survival or ultimate purposes. They are more choices of comfort and preference. The choices we make when freedom is at stake are much more important. Those are the important choices. We can choose how to use our time, our energies, our resources, and our choices inevitably affect others. Therefore, what we do with our freedom becomes a crucial matter. It really is crucial. So whatever conditions you face, no matter what situation in which you find yourself, you can start now to shift your attitude, your perspective, and your thinking, as well as your actions, to a better idea. The time is now. If not now, then. Let us choose now to love freely, to laugh deeply, and to allow peace and joy to fill our souls. Let us choose that. Let us immerse ourselves in ideas that are life-embracing. And let us choose each moment to feed the joy, peace, love, compassion, and truth in ourselves. Let us choose this for ourselves. The time is now, if not now, then. I know that I wasted a lot of my life when I was young. Living in the past, living in the future, living in the past, living in the future, living in the past, living in the future. I went back and forth a lot because neither suited me until I found this teaching and learned that the present moment is all that I have. And I'm so grateful for that, because the time is now. If not now, when? Let us immerse ourselves in ideas that are life-embracing and choose actions that lift ourselves and others up. That emphasize what's good. There's a lot of good in our lives if we just are willing to see it. And I invite you to spend time looking at it and seeing it and really living in the now with it. Let's enjoy this wonderful journey of life and embrace our fellow travelers. Join me in a commitment to a higher road, a better way right now. The time is now. If not now, when? Let us commit random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. Let us exercise the infinite love and compassion that resides in the depths of our being. Let us each embrace each moment and live life as it was meant to be. If not now, when? We are glorious beings, all of us. And we have a wonderful life within us. We really need to enjoy it. It's the only one we have. And it's worth doing. It's worth looking at our lives and being ourselves and being ourselves. In fact, somewhere in the textbook, Ernest Holmes says that as we learn this teaching and apply it in our lives, we become more of ourselves and ever more of ourselves, more of who we truly are. I know in the years before I found this teaching, I wasn't myself in the world. I was myself privately, and I was a painful self. But I really learned to rise above that and to become who I am. And that's a glorious thing. To be free to be who you are is all there is. And to love and to be in this moment and to enjoy this moment and this moment and then this moment and then this moment and this moment. Each moment is precious. The time is now. If not now, when? I'm really grateful for all of you being here. And I love each one of you, even those I don't know very well. And I know that we are going to now live fully in this moment, at each moment. And I give thanks for that. And so it is. Namaste.
So it is.